We don't usually notice the exact moment a story changes shape. Sometimes it's just a sound in the dark, or the way a sentence lands heavier than it should. This one began quietly, with a phone lighting up after midnight and a kind of certainty settling in before the panic did. Rachel Morgan is an emergency room nurse, and what happened to her mattered because she recognized the danger not on a hospital monitor, but in her own family's voice. This is how she remembers it. The screen lit my bedroom ceiling in a pale rectangle. 1207. Brittany's name. You're just a glorified maid. Nobody actually loves you. I didn't answer. I set the phone down, face up, and counted my breaths the way I do between patients. Then it rang. Rachel. My mother's voice came through sharp and wet, already in pieces. You need to send money right now. Brittany's appendix ruptured. They're taking her in. I sat up. Slow down. They won't operate without payment. $52,340. You have to do it now. I swung my feet to the floor. What hospital, Jefferson? She said too fast. They're prepping her. Okay, I told her, letting my voice shake. Okay. I'm trying. The lie was already there, fully formed. I could feel it in my chest, cold and settled. Hospitals don't do that. Not here. Not ever. My bank flagged the transfer. I added, they need verification. Read me the CPT code on the surgery order. A pause. Paper rustled. She read it. That was the moment. The channel stays quiet here, watching the way her training clicks in before her fear does. I walked into the kitchen and leaned against the counter. Leave it on voicemail, I said. They need your voice. After I hung up, I texted a coworker on the overnight shift. Family says Brittany Morgan came in with a ruptured appendix. I was about to head over. Can you check if she's there? The reply came back clean and simple. No one by that name. Boards clean. No acute abdomen. I stared at the sink. When the voicemail arrived, I saved it, backed it up. I didn't cry. If you're still here, stay with me. This is where it starts to matter. The phone rang again before I could finish a glass of water. Did you send it? My mother's voice was a jagged edge. Rachel, they're prepped. They're waiting for the confirmation. I'm trying, I said, injecting a subtle tremor into my tone. But the banking app flagged the amount. It's locked for fraud protection because of the hour. A sharp, panicked inhale. So call them override it, I can't. Not for a personal transfer. I leaned against the window, watching my own ghost-like reflection. But there's a workaround. If I wire it as a direct emergency medical payment to the hospital, it bypasses the hold. But the bank's security protocol is strict. They need the provider's specific billing data to release $50,000. What data? She sounded desperate, but not the desperation of a grieving mother. It was the frantic energy of a gambler staring at a losing hand. I need the attending physician's name and the CPT code from the surgery order. I said, my voice clinical. The bank verifies the procedure against the amount to ensure it's not a scam. The CPT, it's a 5-digit billing code. It'll be on the paperwork right in front of you. I paused, letting the silence hang. Mom, if I get one digit wrong, the wire bounces and the account stays frozen until Monday. Do you want the money or not? Paper rustled furious and rhythmic. She wasn't looking for a doctor. She was searching a screen. I found it. She whispered, Good. Don't text it. The bank requires a voice-verified authorization for wires this large. Leave the doctor's name, the hospital, and that code in a voicemail. I'll patch it through to the fraud department. Fine. Just hurry. Rachel, she's running out of time. The line went dead. I didn't move. I just stood in the dark, watching the phone in my hand. By asking for that code, I had forced her to move from a desperate lie to a documented, premeditated felony. I walked to the sink and washed my hands, scrubbing all the way up to my wrists, as if I were preparing for a surgery of my own. I waited exactly 3 minutes before reaching for my phone. In the ER, timing is everything. You never move faster than the situation requires. I texted Sarah, a charge nurse on the overnight shift at Jefferson. My thumbs were steady, the phrasing deliberate. Hey, my mom just called, says Brittany Morgan was rushed in for a ruptured appendix. I'm about to head over. Can you check the board and see which bay she's in so I don't get stuck at the front desk? It was a clean request. No mention of fraud, just a sister trying to navigate a busy floor. I watched the microwave clock glow in the dark. 12:58. The reply bubble pulsed, then vanished, then reappeared. Checking now. That's weird. I don't see a Brittany Morgan in admissions or the surgical queue. We haven't had an acute abdomen come through the doors all night. The board is completely clean. I didn't feel the sting of betrayal. I felt the cold, familiar clarity of a confirmed diagnosis. The lab results were in the patient wasn't sick, the patient was a predator. Must be a mix-up at triage, I typed back. Thanks. Sarah. I set the phone down. The voicemail notification from my mother pulsed on the screen like a warning light. I didn't play it yet. I simply dried my hands, folded the towel into a perfect square, and waited for the silence to settle. I pressed play and held the phone a few inches from my ear, like I was bracing for feedback. Rachel, it's Mom. Her voice came through thin and urgent. I'm at Jefferson. They're taking Brittany back now. I didn't move. They need the payment released. The doctor said everything depends on timing. A quick breath. His name is Anthony Mitchell. The procedure code is 44970. Please don't mess this up. Paper shifted again. I could hear it clearly. The edge of something being read, not remembered. The total is $52,340. Send it to billing, right now. She stopped there. No goodbye. Just the click. I replayed it once. Then again. The details were too neat. The kind of neat you get when someone has rehearsed. Names, numbers, order. I set the phone down on the counter and opened my laptop. The file saved with a soft chime. I uploaded a copy to my secure drive, then another. My phone buzzed almost immediately. Did you get it, a text from my mother? They're asking. I didn't respond. I stood there, palms flat on the counter, listening to the refrigerator hum. The voicemail icon sat on my screen, solid and unmoving. It felt heavier than it should have. Not because of what it said, but because of how calmly it said it. The number sat on my screen, bright and fixed. $52,340. In the ER, numbers are organic blood pressure fluctuates. White cell counts drift. But this number was different. It was architectural. It was the exact sum of a life built on sand. I'd seen the foundations of this debt 3 weeks ago. I had stopped by my parents' house to drop off my mother's meds, and the kitchen was thick with the scent of unwashed dishes and desperation. Brittany's voice had carried through the door, sharp, frantic, bargaining with someone on the other end of a line. When she saw me, she slammed the door, but not before I saw the counter. Stacks of envelopes with red headers, final notice, immediate action required, high-interest settlement. My mother had covered them with a dish towel, her eyes avoiding mine. We're just handling some of Brittany's business expenses. Rachel, don't worry about it. Now. The math finally clicked. $52,340 wasn't a surgical estimate. It was a payoff. It was the total amount due to stop a car from being repossessed or a private lender from showing up at the door. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother, Rachel. The doctors say time is running out. I didn't reply. Instead, I scrolled through Brittany's Instagram. A video from 4 hours ago, her hand, flashing a fresh $200 manicure wrapped around a glass of vintage Bordeaux. The caption, investing in my peace, #blessings. The contrast was nauseating. My own hands were cracked and raw from hospital-grade sanitizer. Hers were polished with the money I'd been subsidizing for years. Brittany called then, her voice dropping the dying patient act the moment I picked up. Why are you taking so long? Do you have any idea what happens if this isn't paid tonight? I'm looking at the numbers. Brittany, I said, my voice like ice. Hospital bills end in cents. They have odd, messy totals. 52,340 is a settlement figure. Who do you actually owe silence? Then, a sharp, ugly laugh. You always think you're so much smarter than everyone. Just send the money. Rachel, be the good daughter for once and save us. The line went dead. She didn't sound like a sister. She sounded like a debt collector. I didn't reach for my keys. I reached for my laptop. It was time to stop being the horse and start being the surgeon. I opened Instagram, the blue light stinging my eyes. Thumb swipe. Tap. Brittany's story loaded instantly. It was a study in arrogance. Candlelight reflecting off a polished mahogany table. A glass of deep red Cabernet tilted toward the lens. No hospital gown, no sterile drapes, just the soft, golden glow of an upscale lounge. The caption read, "Hard night, but family always shows up." I checked the timestamp. Posted 14 minutes ago. That was 20 minutes after my mother's emergency call. 30 minutes after the ruptured appendix. I looked down at my own hands. They were dry. The knuckles reddened and raw from 12-hour shifts of surgical scrubbing. One nail was jagged, chipped from a night spent saving strangers who actually needed me. My phone vibrated. Brittany again. Why aren't you answering Mom? She's a wreck. Rachel. I'm looking at your story. Brittany. The wine looks expensive. A sharp, jagged silence. Then, that's a draft. I posted it from my archives. Instagram doesn't archive live candlelight. Brittany. And the restaurant special tonight is on the chalkboard behind your head. You're really going to be this petty, she hissed. The mask finally slipping. When everything is on the line, I'm not being petty, I said, my voice dropping into a low, clinical calm. I'm being thorough. I hung up. The quiet that followed didn't feel heavy. It felt like a clean slate. I didn't go to the restaurant. I didn't drive anywhere. I sat at the small table by my window and stared at my phone until the screen went dark. Then I called Marissa. She answered on the second ring. Voice low. Rachel, it's me. I need help, I said. Not advice. Actual help. A pause. The soft sound of fabric shifting. Are you safe? Yes. This isn't that. I swallowed. My family's trying to extort money from me. They lied about a medical emergency. I have a voicemail. Another pause. Sharper this time. Do you still have it? I saved it. Backed it up. Good. She exhaled slowly. Okay. Tell me what you want. I want them to stop. I said, I want them out of my life without this dragging on for years. She didn't rush to fill the silence. That's doable, she said finally. But it means paperwork, boundaries in writing, and some leverage. I have leverage. I know you do. Her tone softened. Can you meet me in the morning? What time? 8. My office opens then. I'll be there. After we hung up, I poured myself a glass of water and drank it standing up. My hands were steady. That surprised me. My phone buzzed again. A text from my mother. Please, just send something, anything. I didn't answer. I set my alarm for 6, then changed it to 6:30. There was nothing else to do tonight. No more calls to make. No more proof to gather. I turned off the light and sat in the dark for a moment, listening to the quiet, not relief, not yet, just space. Marissa's office was quiet, smelling of old coffee and high-bond paper. Everything was arranged with surgical precision legal pads stacked, pens aligned. It was the only environment that felt safe now. My mother arrived first, looking fragile and small, clutching her purse like a shield. Brittany followed, hiding behind oversized sunglasses, her posture radiating a manufactured outrage. They sat across from me, and for the first time in 30 years, I didn't feel the urge to apologize for their discomfort. Marissa didn't waste time. She slid a folder onto the mahogany table. "We aren't here to mediate a family dispute," she said, her voice like a scalpel. "We are here to settle a potential criminal matter." "Rachel, please," my mother whispered. "It was just a mistake." We were panicked. I placed my phone on the table. "You weren't panicked. Mom, you were rehearsed. I have the voicemail. I have the CPT codes you searched for. I have the hospital logs." Brittany scoffed, crossing her arms. "So, what, you're going to sue your own family?" "No," I said. "I'm performing a procedure." Marissa pushed a document toward them. "This is a civil settlement agreement. It includes a $5,000 payment from Rachel as legal consideration. In exchange, you sign a permanent no-contact order, a non-disparagement clause, and a mutual release of all claims." "5,000, Brittany hissed. "That doesn't even cover. It covers your silence." Marissa interrupted. "If you don't sign, the voicemail and the digital evidence of attempted wire fraud will be delivered to the district attorney's office by noon." The air in the room went cold. My mother looked at the pen, then at me. "You're really choosing this over us. I'm choosing a sterile field." "Mom," I replied, "the infection has to be cut out." Her hand shook as she signed. Brittany followed, her signature a jagged, angry scrawl. They took the check, but I didn't stay to watch them leave. I walked out into the morning air, feeling lighter than I had in a lifetime. The surgery was a success. A year passed without anything dramatic happening. That was the point. I moved apartments. Nothing fancy. Smaller kitchen. Better light in the mornings. I bought a cheap table and painted on it sometimes after night shifts. Watercolors that didn't turn into anything recognizable. It felt good not to finish things. The 5,000 cleared the day they signed. After that, there was nothing. No late-night calls. No emergencies. No sudden crises that somehow always had a price tag attached. Once, my phone lit up with a message from an unknown number. "It's Mom. I'm at the hospital." I stared at it while my tea cooled on the counter. Then I deleted it. No reply. No explanation. Just gone. At work. I still washed my hands longer than required. Old habits. Muscle memory. In the emergency room, we protect the sterile field at all costs. Once it's contaminated, you don't argue with it. You don't bargain. You start over, clean and controlled, because anything else puts the patient at risk. That patient used to be my family. Now it's me. Sometimes I think about the woman I was before that night. The one who would have emptied her savings and apologized for needing a receipt. She worked hard. She meant well. She was exhausted. Rachel Morgan doesn't do that anymore. I still have compassion. I still care deeply. I just know where it belongs now, in my work, in the life I actually live, in people who don't need me to bleed to feel supported. If you're listening to this and staying with it, thank you for the quiet attention. Some stories don't end with noise. They end with space. The channel steps back in here, not to explain or frame what you heard, just to acknowledge it. Some endings don't look like triumph. They look like clean edges and steady hands. And sometimes that's the most honest kind of resolution there is.